Hello, my friends. Welcome to another episode of New Mama's LARP Lessons. Roleplay. Whether you love it or hate it, it's a core component for LARPing and tabletop role-playing games alike. It's natural for some. I'm looking at you, theater kids. But for others, there can be hurdles and invisible barriers that people want to clear, but they just aren't sure how to do that. If you're looking for ways to enhance or improve your roleplay, I hope that these insights I'm about to give you can help you in your journey towards that. Number 1, backstories. I know, backstories. Ooh, ha, my family got destroyed by bandits. My home village is gone. Yeah. I know. In all seriousness, bear with me here. I genuinely believe that well-crafted backstories can help improve your roleplay and enhance the game around you. I am going to do a longer video on that, just focusing on backstories, but let's hit the bullet points for now. Believable, humble, goal-oriented. So what does that all mean? You need to make your backstory believable. If you say that your character slayed 100 dragons and had 1,000,000 gold and became the ruler of a small country before they started on this adventure where they're now level 1, well, it doesn't work so well, does it? Maybe you're a farmhand and you did lose a family member to a couple bandits who ransacked your farm, and you're realizing, I need to get some revenge. I need to go out there and get on the road and do something about this. So you spend years fighting, training, getting better at what you do, and then you get out there and seek out adventure. Or maybe you're like my paladin Vera, who grew up with a good education, learned etiquette, manners, but she got caught in a terrible arranged marriage that she wanted to escape and seek out something better for her brother and her. So she did. Goal-oriented. Why is your character adventuring? Create a major event or a conflict in your backstory to give your character a goal for the future. As I kind of mentioned, for Vera, her major backstory event was that she was saddled with a cruel man in an arranged marriage. And it took a turn for the worst, and her brother, got rid of him, and she didn't know about it. But her brother got blamed. They were looking for a reason to, get her brother out of town. And she said, okay, it's time to leave. Made a deal with a fae, got them on the road, and that's how her new life of being an adventurer started. I'll dive more into this when I do my full backstory video, but believe me when I say that well-crafted backstories that are reasonable can really enhance a character. Number 2, pick what you know and dial it up. One of the biggest roleplay challenges is trying to get outside of our comfort zone. So if you want to play a charismatic bard character, but you're naturally more introverted and shy, it's going to be hard. However, I find that exploring your own comfort zones will help you step outside of them in the future. And in order to get there, the best advice I can give you is to start inside what you know and dial it up and hone in on it. My first LARP character was this really sweet, timid, soft-spoken elf whose main goal was really just to help the people around her. And, I put a lot of myself into her. That's how I was at the time, and I guess how I still am in some ways. But because I put so much of myself into her, it was a really comfortable experience at first, especially because it was my very first LARP that I had ever gone to. Because I was more naturally shy at the time, I was able to take things at my own pace. I was more soft-spoken, shy, but I was helpful, and I offered kind words to those who needed them. And I gotta say, as a result, something pretty amazing happened. As that character grew and found her voice and became more comfortable in who she was, it helped me grow as a person in real life, outside the game. I also became more vocal, more confident, more sure of what I wanted, because I was growing as the character, and slowly but surely, it impacted me as a person in positive ways. If you start with characters that feel comfortable and feel a little closer to who you are as a person and tune into those comfort zones, you might be surprised by the journey that it takes you on as a real person in real life. It's pretty incredible, honestly. And when that happens, you will find it so much easier to step outside your comfort zone and explore different character types with varying personalities. Give it a try. Number 3, accents and voices. Okay. Before I scare you off with the mention of accents and doing different voices, let me just break it down for a second. It's not as bad as you think it is. And let's be real for a second, everyone. We're all nerds just playing pretend. If there is ever to be a setting where we can practice silly voices and accents and see what works for us, this is it. So we are going to start with a pretty serious rule number 1. Do not ever, please ever make fun of someone who's trying their best with an accent or a different voice. Unless it is genuinely offensive or problematic, just be encouraging. We're here to lift each other. Accents and adjusted voice pitches are really great because they add so much flavor to the character, but they also add some cool stuff to the environment around you and to your other players. And the best part about being in 2023 is that there are so many resources on YouTube and different websites that you can listen to and help practice the accent that you're trying to go with. One of the things that I actually like to do, and I got this from my partner, when I'm driving around alone, feeling bored, want to practice, I just read out all the signs and things I see, and I read them in the accent that I'm practicing. You might feel silly at first, but it is a very legit way to get some practice in. Now, adjusted voice pitches. What does that even mean? If you're still not comfortable with accents, but you want to add a little flair, a little difference in your voice while being a character, give this a try. My first LARP character, Talon, had a slightly different way of speaking in the tone of her voice. So she would speak more like this, something a little softer and high-pitched, because it really helped to differentiate from me and from Talon, so people knew when I was in character. Practice these options because you may surprise yourself with what feels natural and good and right for your character. Number 4, Quirks and Mannerisms. This one is so fun and easy to add to any character. So here's what I want you to do. Think about some of your mannerisms and habits and such that you do in real life. Like, I admit, when I get anxious or uncomfortable, I bite at my lip a lot. There are so many subtle things you can do as your character as long as they're not harmful, of course. Here's a few things that I've done with characters. When Talon was anxious or nervous about something, or she was thinking, she would kind of wring her hands together as a physical way of showing that she was thinking and anxious about it. Vera would often cross her arms and stand up a little straighter when she was trying to seem imposing, or she would do it to create a barrier between another person if she felt uncomfortable talking to them or didn't want them to get too close to her in a more of an emotional sense. And if Brienne feels like you're threatening her space, she'll take a couple steps back and sort of hunch a little bit and just kind of stare at you. She's trying to get you to go away from her. Now, I know these things seem insignificant, and no, they might go completely unnoticed for the entire duration of your character, but this is the fun part. They're for you. These are meant to help you feel connected to the character and to help you stay in character too. That can be a challenge, sometimes feeling yourself drifting in and out of character, and that is the extra secret bonus to these tips, is that you'll find that you're staying in character more often. Number 5, props and downtime activities. Now, admittedly, this one is a little more directed at LARPers. Having character and environment props is a huge game enhancer. Are you an alchemist? Make yourself a little alchemy set. So you want to get some dried herbs from the dollar store. They're really cheap there. You can get a mortar and pestle for a pretty reasonable price. Maybe some little glass bottles, which you can also find at dollar stores. It's the perfect way to add some flavor to the game around you, to what you're doing, and it's such a good way to connect with your character. If I'm at a LARP, for example, and I look over and I see someone using an alchemy station and actually grinding stuff and making little potions, are you playing a bard? Break out the instruments. Get yourself a cheap ukulele. It's actually surprisingly easy to learn chords on a ukulele. Trust me on that. Just get something you're comfortable with, and if you don't know how to play an instrument, it's fine. Just be a really bad bard. Or, hey, it's a good excuse to learn something new. Or maybe your grumpy and aggressive character really loves reading with a cup of tea when no one's looking. Even if you're literally alone, off to the side, or inside a cabin where no one can see you, but you're taking a moment to just sit down and read when there's downtime at your game, the connection you'll feel to your character will grow. And even if your character doesn't really have any props or anything that suits them, even just having some things around that you can put out that adds to the world is really great. See, it's a cute little rope basket with some fake fruit in it. Ah! In all seriousness, even the smallest things can help. So even just having a little basket with some fake fruit and vegetables in it that you're sorting through and cleaning with a little piece of cloth or something, it will just really make you feel like you're actually living in that moment in game. Ultimately, these tips break down into one overarching theme. Give your character realistic traits. Do things that will help you feel more connected to them. Give them characteristics that make them feel alive. It may take practice and time to clear those hurdles, but I promise that with practice, you will get there. And bonus advice, you're doing better than you think you are. Everyone comes from different backgrounds and different skill levels. I mean, I used to be a professional actor. I have an unfair advantage. Everyone has different strengths, and if you catch yourself thinking, oh gosh, that person is so much better than me, no, pause. Take a breath. I challenge you to instead think, people enjoy interacting with me, and I have unique strengths even if I can't see them. Remember that roleplay is meant to be fun, and the more that we can lift each other, the better the experience is going to be for everyone involved.